She'll finish it.
Did you hear it suck in?
Yeah, I heard it hit the water. Pulsar, not necessarily. There's pros and cons to ventilators. When the vast majority of the population is breaking down under a lung affecting disease and we have no idea what we're doing and we're in a panic moment, being on a ventilator is the #1 best way for me to care for you because I can control everything about you. And I can constantly check your electrolytes, I can check your potassium, your CO2, your O2. Like, it's the best way for me to have a full control and full idea of what the fuck is going on in your body. So in a panic situation when something like that was happening, I would do the same. If people were failing, respiratory failing, we don't just throw people on a ventilator. Your sats have to consistently drop below 90% for over like 6 hours. And you have to like be visibly apneic.
Or have major blockages in the airway.
Exactly.
Swelling, blockage.
Yes. That's what I meant by like visibly apneic. You're gasping, you're wheezing audibly, you're choking on yourself.
People don't know what that means.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry. Yeah, we don't just like, oh, you have COVID, let's ventilate. Like, It is it's usually a crash cart situation. It's usually like, oh fuck, we think you're about to code. Let's ventilate really quick so we can control this situation.
That being said, with you saying that, ventilation is not equal to a code.
No, not at all. Ventilation means a ventilator. Code means compressions. And sometimes mouth to mouth if you're into that. Where the fuck is my grinder? I know it's probably right in front of me, dude. Come to me. Oh, it's right there. We don't really use the colors that often, to be honest, Big Green. In any hospital I've ever used, it's just either a light flashes in the hallway. They're not alarms anymore. They used to, when I first started at my first hospital, the whole hospital, blinking lights, boop, boop, meant there was a fucking code somewhere and you had to run and find it. But nowadays what the hospitals do is, if you are not the nurse that's strictly in charge of that patient, the respiratory therapist, we all have what's called a code pager on our belt. And when a code goes off, it vibrates insanely. And we don't even ask. We look at it, look at the room, and run. We don't really ask, like, is it a blue, red, or yellow? I just get a ventilator. I get everything possible I need to ventilate a patient, and I run into the room. I'm ready for everything. It's a code. Anything that is patient-related, it probably means your heart stopped. Or you're in extreme respiratory failure. Like, you know, on all we call it quadding. You're on all fours going with your back arched. I'll fucking lay you back and intubate you. I gotta figure out why you're doing that. Probably a CO2 problem or something. Well, Vissy, we all have a certain amount of residual air in our lungs at all times. If you didn't, your lungs would collapse.
That's your SpO2, right?
Your SpO2 is just your O2 of your blood. There's PO2, there's PCO2, and that is the pulmonary CO2 and pulmonary O2 when I do an ABG. And that's like exactly like, you know how you put a pulse oximeter on your thumb? If that's like, some patients like have older people sometimes, or people that are like really bad emphysemics, they're literally, their vessels and capillaries and their fingers and stuff are so fucked up. I won't get a straight pulse ox. Like, it'll say 75, 99, 98, 75, 72. It'll be all over the place because their circulation's so bad. So then I'll just do ABGs, because that PCO2 and the PO2 the PO2 is the real pulse ox. It's like what actually is happening in your blood at that exact moment.
My average sleeping SpO2 is like, I think it's 97, 96.
That's pretty good. Mine drops really low. But I've never actually been 100% person. And when I did a PFT to myself, I only have like 80% volume of someone my size. So I don't know what's going on in there. And that was when I was young.
It's whack how good my oxygen levels in my blood are for my like heart rate and everything. Because you would think it'd be so much lower with how low my heart rate is.
Mm-hmm. Is it interesting being a new nurse and deciding to call a code or not? No. What's interesting is when the cleaning crew accidentally hits the code button with their ass, because there's nothing that goes off anymore. There's no flashing lights because that's stressful to patients. They you know, I don't know why they ever thought alarms going off in the entire hospital every time there's a code was a good idea for healing, but it's not. So nothing happens. Just all of a sudden this poor housekeeping person turns around and, you know, there's 4 doctors and a pharmacist and the whole team of nurses and 3 RTs with ventilators in the doorway like, what the fuck? This room's empty. Those are the best. But no, code is so easy. Is there a heart? Is there a pulse? No? Boom. Slam that button. Because it's always better to call a code and not need people than to not call a code and to fucking need people. Because a code is a straight way to get a lot of people in one room. Some people will hit it like if there's a violent situation and you're screaming and no one's coming, hit the code. 1 million people will show up kind of pissed, but at least they'll be able to pull off violent patient A.
Mm-hmm.
Cheers, by the way.
Cheers. It's almost 4:20 as well.
Yep, I'm glad I packed a new bowl. I'll be ready. Oh, you being a new nurse. Oh, yeah, I can get that. You know, I had some nurses when I started working at Hopkins that were terrified to press the code button. And I had to sit down with a couple of them. I didn't have to. I chose to. I was like, okay, tell me what the fuck's going on. Like, you keep waiting till the last second. And they actually told me that an RT had attacked them over it. Like, you never think about it, and you're always hitting that fucking code button, and don't hit it unless you really need me, and blah, blah, blah. Some old cunt on day shift. I was pissed. I was like, how dare you?
Poor nurse can't win.
I know. Seriously, like, that's just cruel.
Gets yelled at for.
And you know, it's because she was on her lunch break. God forbid. Jackie, what's up?
Wait, I have points to redeem. Thanks. What do I do with all my points, Kate?
I mean,
I have 553,000 points. Help.
Dude, fuck if I know. You got me there.
Help.
Oh, yeah, that's how my managers were, too. There was just, like, in some hospitals, especially, I don't know if this happens in nursing, but in respiratory, there's some respiratory therapists that have just worked there too long. Like, they need to move on. They need to go to a new hospital. You're not supposed to work in the same place for 5,000 years. And so they just have this horrible chip on their shoulder, like they're grander than thou, and their lunch break is sacred. And for anybody that works in medicine, you know we don't get lunch breaks. That's not a real thing. You fucking inhale a sandwich if you can. Stuff it in your sandwich. Yeah, you're always on call. Exactly. It's unethical to, like, I don't know one medical professional that would be like, hey, I'm leaving the floor for 30 minutes and I'm not going to answer anything. Nobody would do that. That's crazy.
They can say they're going to do it, but are they actually going to do it?
No, never. No one would do that. Exactly. But there's some that, and they're all on day shift because day shift was always like, you know, that was seniority. And they just would attack these baby nurses like they know better. And any respiratory therapists in chat, I'm sorry, I'm going to call it out. Nurses are better than us, smarter than us in every way, shape, or form. And I worship every nurse that's ever existed, except the bad ones that kill people and are horrible, but those are far and few between. You don't get to tell a nurse what the fuck to do. If they fuck something up that has to do with respiratory, you calmly will be like, oh, yo, can I show you how to do that? And the nurse will do the same for you. That abusive, like, back and forth bullshit, human. Right? Some of these older ones, they just get this weird chip on their shoulder and they start treating everybody like crap, and it bothers me a lot. Just because you're old doesn't make you a good RT or a good nurse or anything. In my opinion. If anything, sometimes you're out of practice a lot. And most older people in the biz admit that and go get training. No one wants to be like, you know, who the fuck wants to be behind on medicine training when you're working in the field if you actually give a fuck about people? Nobody is the answer.
Dude, there are so many doctors though that like refuse to stay up to date on disorders
Oh, I
and
know.
shit.
Dude, did I ever tell you about this doc? Oh my god. This was a doctor that I got to work with. I don't even remember his name. I worked with him when I worked in Mount Vernon near my parents in Seattle. It was the tiny hospital in Seattle, near Seattle-ish. And this doc literally went to the pulmonologist convention. Like the convention for what the therapies are that we are approving. These are the best ones for every disease, blah, 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 blah. And we all, of course, read about it, watched what we could online, blah, blah, blah. And the big theme of the year was proning patients. If you guys don't know what proning is is where we turn you upside down and your head is lower than your ass, essentially. And it helps drain fluid out of your lungs. It's great. It works amazingly, especially for people with like heart failure and shit. It's a pretty fantastic therapy. And that's what the entire convention was about. And he comes back and we're stoked because like half the therapists there are straight out of school. We all learned how to prone. Like it was part of new therapies and stuff, but it's relatively new. He comes back and he goes, so I know the theme of this year's pulmonary convention was proning, but we are not doing that in this hospital.
Oh.
Not one reason other than he just was lazy. And I was furious. Could have saved lives with that shit.
I know as an EMT we're yelled at never prone. Because you're in a car.
Oh, for sure. I was like, why? No, that makes sense.
Yeah. That's why I was like, when you said prone is good, I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah,
I was
we
like,
do
oh,
prone.
wait, you guys don't transport.
No,
like, you
and
guys
we
don't
have
get in
like
an ambulance.
we have these really special beds. They look like massage beds. They have a hole for your mouth. So like it's actually really horrifying if you look at it from the side of the room because it looks like Neo when he like yanked all that shit out of his mouth. Because it's just this person dangling upside down and all the ventilator equipment's hanging out of their mouth and just like drool. I mean, you wouldn't believe how much drool pours out of your mouth with this shit in your mouth. Just hanging there like trying to breathe and cough. It's pretty wild to watch, but it works. And it's been proven time and time again. And this doc just was like, I don't want to train people. I was so... That was the same hospital where the lady like intubated the dude without sedation, but used paralyzation. Yeah, it was just small. And you know what kills me is after I moved away, that's the hospital my mom went to when she got her AFib. I was like, bitch, are you kidding me? Did you hear all the stories I told you? She was like, I didn't know where else to go. It's like, well, I'm glad you came out alive. Jesus. That's what my mom's been telling me is that if they can ventilate and prone right away, they can actually get you unventilated within like a day. It's pretty impressive, honestly. I love it. Science is beautiful.
Amen.
But when you get ancient doctors in charge of a hospital like that are just not open to new ideas, you risk lives. You know what I mean? Like, that new stuff is out and approved and for a fucking reason. It's not for, like, shats and goggles. I don't know why anyone would think that.
People are not the smartest.
They really are not, but it's so willful. That's the part that I don't get, Eliza. It's such a willful ignorance.
Ignorance is bliss.
Is it?
I don't know, man. That's
Me
what people
neither. I
say.
dig too far.
I just want to know. That's it. I just want to know
I got nothing.
everything. Like, I don't know how people can be cool with it, like not knowing. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do know what you mean. Yeah, like I don't know when I like sometimes I'll be asking a question, I'll go to look at it and people be like, "Oh no, don't worry about it. I don't care." I'm like, "What?
Wait, what do you mean you don't care?
What do you mean we don't care? We just argued about this for 20 minutes and now I'm obsessed with it for the next 20
I was just gonna
years."
say, we're obsessing about this now.
Yeah.
No.
This is our life now. Sorry.
Give me like an hour as I Google everything about this and let me get a new expertise, a new opinion, and I'll get back to you.
Hold on, I gotta go buy a journal. Yep.
Here's the spreadsheet I made. Here's the Google form I sent out.
Thanks for checking your email, asshole.
Oh, bitch, 421.
Fuck.
22. Oh,
Cheers! God damn it. See, in Icarus, I'm like the opposite because I did like half of the nursing prereqs and then immediately went into the respiratory specialization. But I can still recite to you the digestive system, and I hated that I got that cut off from me because I still think that shit's fascinating. Cheers from Maryland, Baltimore. I found out my FedEx lady's from Baltimore the other day.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I was like, dope. She's like,
Represent.
none of that humidity. I was like, amen, sister.
Oh, did she see
Amen.
your license plate?
Yeah, she saw my license because I had to give it to her to pick up my
Right.
geckos.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah. It's always dope finding people that are like from your area when you're out.
Yeah.
Not
It's
from
like-
home or whatever.
Yeah, it's like a little taste of home. And then immediately when she found out I was from Baltimore, she started falling into her accent hard. And I was like, yeah, do it more.
earn.
On.
It's like the ultimate test. But are you from Baltimore? Earn.
Can you read the
You know what I
sentence
said
for me?
If you can decipher what I just said, you are indeed.
You are indeed from Baltimore. If not, West Virginia at best.
Maybe East Coast, Mid Atlantic. Maybe.
Maybe like Connecticut. Oh, fuck a dick. That is not what I wanted.
No.
You know what's funny is I fucking hate hospitals too. Nothing but death and sadness and sick. I'd rather work somewhere that focuses on preventative medicine than Band-Aid therapy.
I fucking hate that the U.S. medical system is more wanting to treatment than prevention.
I think if we made the government pay for medicine, they'd be all over prevention. Imagine.
I don't even know if I can like even imagine that. Like,
I can't. I have no idea what that would be like. Canada? Mainly breathing. Isn't that weird? It's literally like, honestly, if I was to say like the bulk of my respiratory care practitioner education, I would say ABGs, understanding pH, human ABGs and human pH, and the AA gradient, blood. I'd say honestly, like for a respiratory therapist, my 100% concern is blood. You know? Took 2 years to get used to what? What you getting used to? Oh, the healthcare. Oh, yeah. I can't even fathom. Like, imagine going to the doctor and not thinking about money first. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. I've been to the doctor maybe 20 times in my entire life, and it always is a fiscal question in my head. Can I afford this? Or what could come from this? Do I want to know? And I think that's Manerica. I was going to say Manerica. I think that's America in a nutshell, sadly. Yeah. Canadian healthcare, man. Can't even... The dream. This color is blurple, but I don't think it's Barney purple. I think I may need to make it more pink. It's like one of the versions of Barney. I feel like there were a couple different versions of Barney. One was like blurple, one was like pink purple.
For sure.
They
There
changed him
definitely
a few
was.
times, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought I saw Millie struggle. It's like, Moomy, you gotta go outside, baby girl. Don't shit on your new sweater.
Not the sweater.
I fell and hurt my head on the ground, and someone called the paramedics just to check me out. They heard my accent and were like, this has no cost. Big Green, a little bit, because I don't think water has texture, but, like, I'm into it. Did you know, Big Green, that you don't technically touch anything ever? You're just feeling the vibrations of the electrons that compose your skin cells as they vibrate against the electrons of whatever you're trying to touch, but you don't actually touch anything. It's kind of crazy. You're always
Then
like this certain
what
amount
is
of
touch?
It touches the vibrations of the electrons vibrating
do
against the
touch.
electrons. No, they don't. You have your electrons, you feel. Your electrons are part of you. Like, it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, shut up, Eliza. I'm not explaining science to Eliza. Go talk to your falling out ovary.
You read the other half of that, right?
I did. That
you
made
ever read
way
that
more
text?
sense. Yeah, I did.
It only took how many
Did I ever
months
tell
for
you
me
my
to-
disgusting story with that? Can I?
Go for it.
Dude, okay, so let me tell you this. This is for everybody involved. This is a lesson in why you should do Kegels.
Oh?
So when I worked at Lowe's, I worked with this lovely woman. Her name will go unmentioned. We'll call her Shmanana. Okay, we'll call her Janet.
Oh.
Janet's better than Shmanana. So Janet was one of these women who, like, she was probably in her early 60s, but she had fried her hair to sin. She just looked like she belonged on the stoop of Baltimore, you know? Like, she had, like, you know, you remember scene hair that was all backcombed and it would be, like, black in the front and then white?
Yes.
That's exactly what her hair looked like, but she was, like, 60-something. She dressed in everything from buckle. And one day, this woman comes to work, the same woman I'm talking about, and comes up to me and goes, Katie, I just went to the bathroom. And I'm like, all right, Janet. Do you need to go again? Like, I was a head cashier and she was my manager, so I was like, I don't really know what to say in this situation. She goes, well, I went pee and something fell out. And I just kind of like look at her and she goes, not completely out, but I can see it. And I was like, it could be discharge. And she goes, no, it has skin. She kept saying it, and I'm thinking, holy fuck. And so we just sent her to the ER, and it turns out her vagina was prolapsing, like at work.
Huh.
And that just happens if you have really weak tummy muscles from like just being a slug. And she was like not an obese person by any measure. She was super thin. All she did was eat Tic Tacs all day. But she had no muscle mass at all. So her uterus just like fell out of her body. I don't think that's 100% the cause all the time, is what I'm saying. With hers, apparently it was. And I got to be there the moment and was by proxy there for the event, I guess.
Oh, look at these colors, man.
Yeah, I love the orange. That's my favorite, the orange and the pink together. Huh, that's a
Dude.
big huh. Mm-hmm. Huh. My thoughts exactly, homies.
Look at them all so far.
But, like, you know, I didn't want to make her ashamed of something she wasn't in control of having to her body, so I tried to be as nice as possible. And she got it fixed. She got it all tied up. That is so pretty. She got it
I
all
don't
tied
even
up
know
back
what I'm
inside of
doing.
her.
I don't even know what I'm doing.
Me neither, dude. Doesn't matter.
Line. Oh, that's...
If you're enjoying the journey, the end does not matter. You're not even wasting paint or anything. That's the other beauty.
Yeah.
I know, it sounds fake, yet we all know it's totally not. And, like, it happens all the time. My mom's uterus did that after she had my little sister. She ended up with some mesh monstrosity put in her abdomen that caused serious... I haven't clenched my asshole that hard in a while. Thank you for that. I think my boss just ended up having a massive hysterectomy and had everything just cut out. Because she was like in her 60s or had kids, possibly grandkids. I don't even know. She was never quite upfront about her age. Strange. One of those.
I don't
Like,
understand that.
Me neither. Especially the ones that are like, don't worry, if I put on another coat of mascara, no one will know. And it's like, is that a tarantula? Oh. You know what I'm saying?
Why do women not want their age known?
I don't know where that comes from. I think it's a really old notion, you know? Like,
Is it bad to be old?
well, it was back in the day you'd be infertile if you were old. And so
Seen as
people wanted a young,
yeah.
fertile wife to have kids and shit, you know, carry on the line, whatnot. I appreciate you for that help. I really hope my uterus never falls out. Me too. I'm just glad I got sorted out too. Can you, like, what do you do in that instance? I would feel so full of shame, honestly. I'd be like, oh my God. My uterus fell out. Am I broken? Is this the end? I don't even know if I could bring any. She was one of those people that would tell you any little thing about her life ever and about everyone else's life. She was queen of gossip, so she just told me everything, and I was like, damn. That's true, and I would like my shit cut out, but maybe not that way. I don't want it to fall out of me first. That makes me uncomfortable. Oof. Dude, getting a period for the first time was enough for my soul for the rest of my life.
I didn't have like a super traumatic first period. What?
I just didn't know about it. I didn't know what it was yet. It happened Christmas Day, and I bled through my nylons and everything, and I was so embarrassed I didn't want to tell my mom. So I didn't. And when she finally found out that I actually had my period, she just looked at me and goes, ew, yuck, I'm sorry. And that was like the end of the conversation.
I don't remember if my mom had to have told me about it because I didn't get taught it till 5th grade, and I got my period the summer before 5th grade. And like, I wanted to swim, so I used a tampon.
Dude, exact same story for me, Eliza. I'm not even shitting you. Like, seriously, I wanted to go to Halmo pools so bad with my friends that I like figured out, and I like jammed a dry ass tampon up, and it was terrible. But I went swimming.
I mean, mine wasn't traumatic. Like,
mine was terrible. I didn't know what I was doing. I was pretty sure I was like clenching down every muscle in my body, like trying to shove a dry tampon through a Kegel.
Dude, I hear like stories that like a lot of women and like still women older than me that like don't use tampons and never have. I'm just like so confused by it.
I know a lot of girls that just don't want to. Girls my age that still just like bleed all over a pad in their underwear. I don't get it. It seems gross to me, but no shame.
Like,
obviously.
Sometimes I'm cool to just like bleed all over in a pad, but like most of the time I want it to be like clean ?
I agree. Contain that shit. I don't want anyone to tell me I need to contain that shit. That's on my call, but
I will say though, after getting the copper IUD, like tampons make my cramps a lot worse.
Really? Oh, that's really bizarre. I didn't know that. I wonder why.
I mean, it's not the end of the world, but I also have like a really high pain tolerance, but yeah.
You don't remember your first one, Vissy? I think I just remember it because it was Christmas and I was wearing a really pretty dress. And I remember that morning, my cousin, Maria, thought it would be a good idea to give me a spiced rum, like first thing in the morning. And like one sip got me so buzzed that I like peed my pants. Not out in public. I went to the bathroom and forgot to pull my nylons down because I was like fucked up on one drink. And then later that day, I went to go pee, and there was just fucking blood all over me, and I was like, and I'm dead. It's happened. But I didn't die. I'm here.
It's happened.
I also had to get my first sports bra from a friend, because my mom refused to get me a sports bra. And it was like old and sweaty.
Like, I got bullied into getting a bra in elementary school.
Rude.
Like on